What's up, everybody? We're back for another episode of On the Court. It's episode 8 now. Part of Russo's playbook. Make sure you subscribe. We've got a lot of other sports that we cover. Also, go check out our blogs at russosplaybook.com. But today it's AG and CP with some basketball talk. We're going to talk some NBA, talk about the standings, and then the playing tournament, the possibilities of that, who might be matched up. What's up, Connor?
How we doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Great. Let's get right into it.
Yeah.
So, with the playing tournament, just to quickly explain it for those who don't know, so we have 7 and 8 seeds matching up for the first game. The winner of that takes a 7 seed. Then the 9 and 10 seeds they match up. Winner plays the loser of 7 and 8 for the 8th seed. And as of right now, things are changing pretty much by the daily
Yeah.
because a lot of the game, like a lot of the seeds are separated by about half a game,
Yeah.
maybe a game here and there.
There was
But
a lot
right,
of panic. There was a lot of panic the other day when the Lakers ended up being in the play-in tournament if the season would have ended that day. But now they're back in fifth, sitting a little comfortable, but not really because, like you said, they could have switched by tomorrow or the next day.
yeah, but like right now we have Steph Curry matched up against Dame Warriors versus Trailblazers in 7 and 8 in the West. Um, so that would be an exciting matchup, and Warriors are probably a team a lot of people didn't think would be here, especially with the early season struggles without Klay Thompson. Draymond Green was in and out. Curry's been injured.
Yeah, but when Curry's been on the court, he's been on. You know what I mean?
That's for sure.
He might be
Yeah,
the MVP right now.
yeah. I mean, he's definitely up there. I
He's up
mean,
there.
you can't disrespect what Jokic is doing.
He
The
did.
Nuggets are now up to they're sitting well tied for third with the Clippers right now without, and they're 9-2 without Jamal Murray since he went down.
Which is surprising. That's surprising to me. I thought they were gonna, lose a little bit, but they're still balling.
Yeah, they're still balling. They got a good rest of supporting cast. Michael
Yeah,
Porter Jr.
definitely,
is going crazy.
definitely, he is.
Aaron Gordon, huge pickup, and then they have enough other guards, Compazzo, Monty Morris, those guys. Jokic can handle the ball, so not a lot of people who could pick up the slack, and some other guys who are getting a little bit more opportunity.
Yeah, you said it best.
Yeah, the other teams we got in the play-in picture. So right now, the Grizzlies are sitting at ninth in the West. They would be matched up against the Spurs, and the Spurs have a little bit of a cushion, 2.5 games in front of the Pelicans, who are really they have an outside shot of getting in, but right now they're not playing too great. So it's looking like Trailblazers 7, Warriors 8, Grizzlies 9, Spurs 10 is in all likelihood what we'll be looking at in the Western Conference. Now for the East, we have the Celtics sitting at 7, Hornets at 8, Pacers at 9, Wizards at 10, and the Wizards have a 3 game gap between them and the 11th seed
How about
Raptors.
how about the Wizards though? I mean, they started off the season playing horribly. They
I mean,
couldn't
it's
win a game.
not really because of their level of play. They were the one team that basically didn't play or practice for the first 2 weeks of the season due to COVID. And then when they did get back, they were playing with the shell of their roster, maybe 8, 9 guys, some of those guys being end of the bench players or two-way guys. So not necessarily the guys you would want on the court, given
Yeah,
the high expectations with having the triple double machine in Russ and Bradley Beal, who's up there for leading scorers in the league. Then they also had Thomas Bryant go down with an injury, who was their starting center. Denny Advia, who was their first round pick. I thought he was going to be really good based on his highlights from where was he, Israel, and he went down pretty early in the season. But a lot of injuries, COVID was definitely an issue, and they're one of the hottest teams in the league right now.
yeah. That's a great point about the COVID. That's a really good point. I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, but
But
I
they've got it
mean,
going right now, like you said. I mean, Bradley Beal's still doing his thing. Russ is going off. He had a career high in rebounds, I believe, last
yeah,
night. And then
25
he
rebounds. I
also
think it
had
was
like
21 assists.
he also had 21 assists and had yeah.
So like here's my prediction for like the play-in tournament. I think the Pacers are going to keep falling because they've had a bunch of injuries. Miles Turner's been out for a bit, and they're overall not playing too well. So I think they'll slide. They're half game ahead of the Wizards currently. I
You think
think the
they're gonna slide
Raptors.
out? You think the Raptors are gonna get in?
I mean, there's a chance the Raptors are playing a lot better basketball than the Pacers currently. So I think there's a chance. Like if you is what are there about depending on what team you're looking at around like 8 games or so, and that could be enough time if the Raptors have a favorable schedule and the Pacers keep sliding. That could do it. But I would
Yeah.
definitely think the Pacers will slide to 10 based on the
Yeah, I mean,
Wizards
yeah, and the
play.
Wizards are hot too. So they only have a half a game lead over them right now. So 100%, I could see that for sure. And then the Raptors are kind of the dark horse, same way the Pelicans are in the West.
Yeah, and I would just put a little more stock into the Raptors potentially getting in just because of the all the veterans they got. They still have a decent like a majority of their team that won a ring 2 years back,
True.
minus Kawhi. And even so, all those guys when Kawhi was doing his rest days, they still had like a 600 winning percentage that season.
Yeah.
But yeah, so one interesting thing I was kind of thinking about before we hopped on, what if LeBron and the Lakers were sitting at 1 or 2 in the West? You think Adam Silver would have said change it up completely, done a bye for seeds 1 and 2 in the playoffs, and then done just a normal first round, something like that, or just do like a little round. What would that make it? Like 9 and 10. Oh well, 10 playing 3 or something like that.
You know what I was thinking about earlier, actually? I was
What?
thinking about the possibility that the refs might get involved and start making sure that like the Lakers and the Celtics, those teams get in. You know what I mean? No,
Get
nothing
into
based
the
on that. But
play-in,
like at this
or
point, if you're the NBA, bro, the way Steph is playing, you need the Warriors to make it. You know what I mean?
yeah, I mean it's just like for the playing tournament, it would just bring more viewers, and we've talked about it before. The
Yeah.
viewership is down this year, while TV ratings are down.
Yeah, check out
But
that blog, Russo'sPlaybook.com.
sir, check it out.
Talk
But
about that.
I mean, a lot of teams don't necessarily like it. You're basically just taking what was the playoff race to get into the eighth spot, or jockeying for seeding if you really wanted to, and then just moving it down and adding more teams into the mix. But like really, when you get to above four, like the teams are still going to be resting dudes. Like see what the Clippers have been doing and
Yeah.
all that. Like
Yeah.
I mean, it's just moving things around, and it really all started because the NBA wanted Zion in the playoffs last year. That didn't happen.
Yeah.
It's probably not going to be in it this year. But that's another story. They don't have any shooting on that team, but hopefully in the future they'll get things rolling.
Yeah.
Uh,
See.
I
But
mean,
you want
I'm interested to see how the playing tournament actually goes before I really give my opinion on it.
mhm.
Because last year, what did they do last year? It was just like 8 and 9 played.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah. It was the Suns, right? And the Grizzlies
Grizzlies and
or
Trailblazers.
Blazers.
Grizzlies and Blazers.
Oh, the Suns
Um,
didn't make it
no, they didn't.
to play it.
But
They were 10th.
yeah, it'll just be interesting to see. Like, it'll be high stakes for one maybe 2 games, depending on like who wins, who loses, and all that. Kind of bringing back like the importance of like for the NFL playoffs, 1 game could send you home, that type of thing, or the NCAA tournament, one and done, 1 game and you're gone.
Yeah.
So I think that could be interesting, but then it's like a couple things I'm thinking about. If you're, I don't know, the team's 6 and up in the standings, then they're gonna have extra rest. Does that hurt them that they're having more of a gap in between playing going into the
So,
first game? Because you saw the Lakers started off cold against the Trailblazers last season.
mhm.
Blazers got their win,
Yeah.
and then LeBron and the Lakers took the next 4.
Mhm.
Or does that prompt, say, Curry to go bananas win his playing game and then go crazy. They somehow pull off first round upset, say against
The Suns.
they'd be 7. Yeah, it would be the Suns, maybe the Jazz. The Jazz don't get right because they've been struggling. So it'll be
That would be
interesting to see how
interesting.
the chips fall.
That's definitely plausible. Like I could definitely see that happening. Let's talk about the top of the conferences now. We got like you said, the Jazz at number 1. We'll see if they lose some games. I mean, they're only up a half a game on the Suns, so the Suns could definitely get that second spot or that first spot, which would be huge for Devin Booker and Chris Paul. You know what I mean? But then we got to see what Chris Paul is able to do in the playoffs. That's what it really comes down to.
I'm not really concerned about see what Chris Paul does in the playoffs. I'm more so concerned about like the other guys on the team, Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, DeAndre
Yeah.
Ayton.
No,
Like,
I kind of singled out Chris Paul just because of his lack of playoff success, like getting, to a certain point, obviously. So I singled him out, but what I meant was like if he's able to lead them to some wins, you know what I mean? So it definitely, you're 100% correct. It definitely matters what everybody else does. 100%. I
yeah,
was
I
kind of
know
just
what you
like CP3 out.
I know what you meant, but I'm just thinking about
Yeah.
like watching, say, the Knicks game last week where he closed out the Knicks, and a couple other games where he's pretty much controlled the entire game down the stretch, last couple minutes, whether it be passing the ball or hunting a shot and scoring. I think he's kind of in that mode where like he knows what to do with this team, even though this is his only season in Phoenix,
Mm-hmm.
and he kind of knows like, yeah, Devin Booker is the guy who you want taking a shot. So the defense is going to be more keyed on him. Chris Paul is going to be able to go get his own, go one on one. And really, who's stopping Chris Paul one on one? Guy to get by you, do a little floater, and then if help defense comes and you have Aiton for a lob,
Yeah.
or a guy kicked in the corner, he's really a kingmaker playing on the chessboard.
Yeah.
It'll be
100%.
interesting. I'm
100%.
still.
That's a fact.
It's just gonna suck for the Suns and the Jazz. Say they get one of them likely will be matched up with the Trailblazers unless they lose, and I think Dame will be obviously a difficult cover. Then you got McCollum, and it'll be can you hold those guys and can the Trailblazers play defense? Like that could be an interesting series
Yeah.
because you want to have Dame in so he could go wave goodbye like he did to OKC 2 years ago or 3, whenever that was.
So I believe. No. Yeah, probably 3. Like 3 seasons ago.
I mean, like one team nobody's talking about. The Spurs are in the playing tournament picture, and
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think I've watched a single Spurs game all year.
No, me neither.
To be honest,
But Greg Popovich has a chance to get back to the playoffs. That's big news.
yeah, that's what he does. DeMar DeRozan's having an incredible season,
Yeah.
but they're like another team. Like, do you really want to watch them play a full 7-game series? Because they're rolling out like DeMar DeRozan, Derek White, DeJounte Murray, Jakob Poeltl's their starting center.
Mm-hmm.
Still got Rudy Gay and Keldon Johnson. Well, those guys, it's not going to draw eyes to the game.
Definitely not.
I mean, it's a business. Like you want.
That's what I'm saying. Like they might make sure that certain teams make it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, a la Lakers versus the Kings in the Western Conference Finals in what was that, 04, 03? That bad game when like the Lakers had like something like 40 free throws to the Kings 12.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but I mean, it's definitely a possibility, but I mean, with all the things, the Tim Donaghy thing, controlling games with the whole gambling situation,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's going to be as rampant because if you really look at it, like all the teams are 8 through 10 for a reason. Like
Yeah.
they're not going to be able to compete to advance really.
Yeah, if the best teams win, like if the teams that are going to be favored in these playing games win the games, then everything's just normal anyway. You know what I mean? They won't have, as long as those teams are winning their games, they won't have to pull any cards. You know what I mean? That's who they want in. I mean, you could argue that they want the Wizards in somewhere
I
there,
mean,
but
like with the
over who?
Wizards, like
Over who?
hang on, let me just pull up the Eastern Conference on my end. Like, yeah, with the Wizards, I mean, I'd want the Wizards in.
Yeah, but over who? The Hornets over Melo?
I mean, LaMelo's fun to watch, but I like the team as a whole. Again, kind of
Team as a
like
whole, I agree. I agree with that. But in terms of viewership and engagement, it's a toss up. It's a toss up.
but I mean,
Low comes with a lot of
you're taking a
marketability.
rookie who missed what the last 3-4 weeks against a guy who's averaging a triple double for what the fourth
I
season in
hear
a
you. I'm
row.
just saying it's a toss up. There's an argument there for sure. I'm not saying I'm taking the Hornets. I don't know. I'm torn. It's tough.
Yeah, and kind of like I was talking about it on my podcast. Shout out, give me the money. We there's like when we were kind of doing a little discussion, just like theoretical matchup between the Knicks and the Nets. But like I brought up, it's really talent. Like when you get to the playoffs, the team that has the most talent pretty much is going to advance and win the games.
Yeah, seven
And if
game
you look
series.
at it,
Yeah,
like the Wizards, they're more top heavy in talent with Brad
yeah,
Beal and Russ
yeah,
than the Pacers, the Hornets. The Celtics, they're top heavy in talent with
yeah,
Tatum and Brown, Kemba if he's healthy, Marcus Smart doing his thing. You know,
yeah.
I
It's
mean, ultimately, I'm not going to be mad because like I don't like just looking at the teams, they're not going to advance. Like none of these guys. I'm looking at the East. None of these teams are taking down the Nets or the Sixers. Maybe the Celtics could do some damage, but they've been so up and down all year. I don't
yeah.
see that.
You're writing off the Bucks.
No, I was just looking at the top two because it would be like they're doing the
Oh, I
play
got
for
you. I got you.
seven
I
and
got you.
eight.
Whoever wins the play in, I got you.
Yeah, and I'm just looking at it the way things are stacked right
Got you. Got you.
now,
Yep.
and Nets got 2.5 up on the Bucks, possibly less after tonight.
Yeah.
Um, depending on how that goes. Um,
Man, the
yeah,
Knicks and the Hawks at 4 and 5 still surprise me.
yeah. I mean,
It's
I
crazy.
saw statistics that well, it was before yesterday's game. So now the Knicks are 22-8 since they acquired D Rose. He has something like a plus 13 plus minus when he's on the court. Well, the team does.
Yeah.
Um, and when they put him in the starting, I think they put him in the starting lineup a couple games ago, gave Alfred Payton his rightful spot, not getting minutes. I've been saying that all year long,
Yeah.
but
Facts.
it proves dividends, even though Payton's probably a better defender, but he doesn't bring anything on the offensive end.
Yeah, I wrote about and D Rose. He was killing during their win streak, their last win streak a couple weeks ago or like a week ago. I wrote about him. You know what he was doing in that win streak too.
Yeah,
He's
I mean,
balling right now.
it's realistically their three most important pieces are obviously Julius Randle, MVP case, depending on who you speak to. I'm all for him being in the top five. Derrick Rose, because I mean, point guard runs the show, and Nerlens Noel bringing the paint defense because he's really the like on court defensive. I don't know, king. You want to say if you throw a chess reference,
Yeah.
but like he's a guy who mans the paint, does his thing on defense, doesn't need the ball in his hands. Like he focuses on what he needs to do, getting his boards and whatnot, and making this tip system work. And part of the reason why this team's so damn successful. I think so. Who are your biggest wild cards in each conference as far as the playoff teams?
Let's start
Like,
with the East.
yeah, not really looking at the like the playing teams, more
This
so like six and
one
up.
through eight. Oh, 6 and up. Okay.
Yeah, go six and up
Okay.
because we don't know how like 7 through 10 will shake out.
I mean, in the East, 6 and up. All I got is the Heat. I was gonna say the Celtics, but the Heat. I mean, just because one, they just went to the finals. We saw how they turned up in the playoffs. What seed were they then?
5.
5. So right around there. We saw what they could do coming into the playoffs like that. And Jimmy Butler in the playoffs has proven to do some things. He turns up, but they haven't been playing that well this year. So I'm not like necessarily predicting they do anything, but they could potentially make some noise. I mean, I think they get to round 2 over the Hawks. Um, and then depending on who they play, they got a shot. But
I mean, they'd be matched up with the Bucks, 6 versus 3. And that would be a very interesting
oh
matchup.
shit,
I
yeah, I
mean,
said the Hawks. Oh shit, my
yeah,
fault.
it would just like I mean, my
Oh,
two question marks are the Heat and the Hawks because you don't know
oh
what
shit, they might end up the five though. The
they
Heat.
could.
They're only a half a game down. So if they end up the five, I think they make it to the second round for sure, beating the Knicks. Like that's why like they're a wild card in that sense because we don't even know where they'll end up as of right now because they're only a game out of the playing tournament too. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, I mean,
um
I wouldn't say like say they play the Knicks. I wouldn't say that's a lock. I mean,
I
the
wouldn't
Heat
say
are
it's a
so
lock, but I'm saying they can make that happen. You know what I mean?
yeah, no, they can make it happen because the Knicks are so unproven. I mean, you saw what the Heat did last year, but the thing is, Jimmy Butler's been in and out. Oh,
Yeah.
they got acquired Oladipo. Who knows? It's a toss up whether he plays or whether he doesn't on a given night. And even if he does play, you don't know what he's going to bring to the table. Whether he looks like he's shooting line drives at the front of the rim or he's going off looking like his All Star years.
Yeah.
But um, also the Hawks, I don't know what to think of them. I mean, I haven't gotten my eyes on them too much, but
Mhm.
Trey Young's been in and out. I feel like they were playing better without him in the lineup when he was out with an injury.
Which is a good sign for the playoffs because, like you said, in the playoffs it comes down to talent. So if you're winning games without your best player, that's kind of a good sign. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's interesting. So like
Mhm.
that's another team with such young players. So your good defenders are um maybe Kevin Herter. John Collins is a negative on defense. Capella good protector and dude from Virginia, DeAndre Hunter. But again, young guys, you don't know if they're gonna show out when the spotlight comes on them.
Yeah,
And then like
exactly.
their other big piece, Bogdanovich, he's an offensive weapon, but he could get cooked, you know?
Yeah. He could also have off days. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He's very, very streaky.
Hmm. So yeah, I mean, and then off up to the West, I got maybe the Mavericks. I mean, the Lakers, they're at five, so are they technically a wild card?
I mean it depends on what like they could be because I mean LeBron's out. He was out last night. He's out the next two games, Thursday and I think Saturday. Um
If you're
but
the my fault. If you're the Lakers, do you play to be number six
I mean
instead of going up with Clippers round one? Take the Nuggets without Jamal Murray. They just beat them without Braun.
like yeah, but you could go at it both ways because Clippers they struggle in the playoffs worse than almost anybody in the recent couple
That's true.
years.
That's true. The Nuggets
They
play well.
they still don't have Ibaka, and he's really their starting center. And then you got to look at the Clippers. What's their depth outside of their big two? You have they added playoff Rondo, so that he'll be a big plus for
Yeah.
them.
Facts.
But then what happens with the rest of their rotation? Is Luke Kennard in the rotation? Um, what's the dude from Florida State, number 14, kid with like the little
Oh,
dread?
I know who you're talking about. I can't think of the name right now.
Terrence Mann.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like, does he get time? Because like the whole like Ty Lue's rotation has been like up and down, left and right, like nothing consistent in any way. And are those guys other than like Rondo, Paul George, and Kawhi, who's really going to consistently perform for them?
Yeah. That's a
That
good
was
point.
I mean, like there as much as it like a question mark as like the Lakers with when is LeBron going to be playing,
Mhm.
but the Nuggets, do they stay hot and are they able to take this team and win a 7 game series without their real killer on offense?
Yeah.
I don't
That's the
know.
question.
So like I mean, and the Mavericks, you don't know what Mavericks team you're going to get because they should
They're
have
the wild card. They're the wild card.
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, like last year they had one of the best efficient offenses in NBA history,
Hmm.
and now You don't know, but like it's also tough with them because you could have Josh Richardson having a good game. Tim Hardaway is realistically their third option, but like Hardaway and Porzingis, you don't know what they're gonna do.
Yeah, I was gonna say KP is very, 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 very on and off.
They
So
like the literally the same with Hardaway,
yeah,
and
yeah,
Hardaway's putting
facts.
up. Well, I don't know about this year, but last year he was putting up something like 18,
Mhm.
and like you need that.
Yeah,
I mean,
need that every night in the playoffs.
yeah, they pretty much live and die by the three ball.
Yeah,
But yeah, I would agree with you. They're definitely the biggest wild card, but then 3 through 5 are wild cards because absence of Murray for the Nuggets, resting for the Clippers and the Lakers, but then also the Jazz don't have Donovan Mitchell, Suns, Chris Paul, and a bunch of young guys.
and D book. Don't do D book like that.
I mean, he's still. I kind of like
D
clump him in
book's
with the
not a
young
bunch
guys.
of D book's not one of the a bunch of young guys.
Dude, he's
Don't do
like
him like
what,
that.
a year older than us.
He's in his 6th year, but
Hasn't been to
that's
the
fine.
playoffs.
You could say he's a young guy, yeah, but he deserves to be named. It's not Chris Paul and a bunch of young guys. It's Chris Paul, D Book, and some other young
Fair.
guys.
My
Feel me?
point being, he hasn't been to the playoffs.
That's a fact.
That's my whole argument with there. Like he hasn't been to the playoffs. That's why I mean like it's Chris Paul and like D Book clumped in with still young guys who haven't proven
That's fine.
they could do it in the playoffs. And granted, Chris Paul
100
can't either.
100% agree. 100% agree.
And the Jazz, they went down in the first round last year.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
I would say honestly, I think like now looking at it, I feel more confident in the East. Who's going to be where? Because I mean, like, yeah, it's top heavy. The Nets. You said you want to talk about who you think's going to end up coming out as number one in the East. Like, I would like to say the Nets. I don't think it's going to happen because KD's still doing his rest days and whatnot.
Yeah.
The Bucks could slide upward because they're like with Giannis back. He dropped 49 Sunday against the Nets. We'll see. I don't think he's doing another 49 piece
Yeah.
tonight.
Not anytime soon. Maybe in the playoffs. We might get a 50 piece in
Yeah,
the playoffs.
but also he chokes in the playoffs.
I'm saying he might turn it around. He might get a 50 piece.
He could, and then the
I only
Sixers.
said that because if it happens, I'm going to take this clip. That's the only reason I said that.
No, I just meant like literally back-to-back games. He's not dropping 49.
Oh,
But
no. No.
no, but then like I mean, just being like real nitpicky here. Ben Simmons, you could put like key on him in 7 games, just make him shoot for the Sixers. Tobias Harris could be up and down. Embiid could get injured, but like even so, I like just more confidently. Sixers they'll advance. Nets they'll advance unless they get pinned against the Heat. Really, honestly, the Celtics don't worry me because like
They're too
dude,
inconsistent.
they're more inconsistent than the Nets, and like Kemba he could tweak an ankle, he'd be done, and that pretty much screws their entire team. Jalen Brown's been hurt, and he's usually one of the consistent guys on the team. I don't know. That's just my long 2 cents.
Yeah. No, I agree. I feel you. I think we'll just wrap up there then, right?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Right. Go ahead, plug your podcast again, your Twitter and everything.
Yeah, Give Me the Money podcast at Podcast GTM. Just started a YouTube channel last night. Give Me the Money podcast. Find us easily.
Yeah, go subscribe to that.
Yeah, got
for you.
a redraft of 2018 NBA draft coming out this week. Redraft for 2017 coming out probably early next week. That's all I got coming out.
Word. Yeah, other than that, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Russo's Playbook so you never miss a play. Make sure you like this as well. And we're out. Peace.
Peace.